Ayo, it's JCam here, bringing you my top 5 anime that have long titles that don't really leave much to the imagination. Most anime of long titles tend to be adaptations from light novels, and for whatever reason, a lot of light novels just have really long titles. Honestly, I'm starting to think that the authors are all just in on this and they're just trolling us. But anyways, let's begin. What do you do at the end of the world? Are you busy? Will you save us? I thought it'd be nice to start with something fun and lighthearted. I won't go into too much detail, as part of what makes this series great is how everything is slowly revealed. The story is set in a post-apocalyptic fantasy world where humanity has been destroyed by beasts 500 years prior, and the surviving races live on floating islands in fear of them. The main character William meets a girl named Katoli, and they spend the day together on the floating island, and then go their separate ways. Later, he accepts a job as a caretaker for a military weapons warehouse, but to his surprise, instead of weapons, he just finds normal-looking young girls. Oh, and also Katoli. The story continues with William living life as the girl's caretaker, and it steadily reveals more about the girls, Katoli, as well as William's past and more about the world itself. William and Katoli's development is probably the highlight of this show for me, and I really like how their relationship progresses very naturally. The other characters are also very likable, and you grow fond of them just as much as William does. You'll laugh, you'll love, you'll cry, but mostly cry. I mean, from the first episode they give you an idea of what's to come, so just be prepared to get your heartstrings tugged. Problem children are coming from another world, aren't they? There are so many isekai stories with long titles, mostly light novel adaptations, that I'm pretty sure any new light novel author gets an invite to a secret Discord server that they use to plan all this out. We follow 3 troublemaking kids, the arrogant Asayoi, the rich young lady Asuka, and the quiet girl Kazukabe. Living with unmatched special powers has made their lives kinda dull. But lucky for them, one day they receive an envelope that transports them to a fantasy world called Little Garden. There they meet their summoner, the bunny girl Black Rabbit, who tell them that the residents of this world use gifts to play high-stakes games to earn wealth and prestige for their communities, with the games ranging from a simple card game to a deadly battle. The 3 overpowered teens decide to join the fallen community No Name, that Black Rabbit is a part of, and try to help it. What you get is a pretty entertaining isekai story. You have fun characters doing fun things, at least fun for them, inside of an interesting world. I do wish they had made another season, but I don't think that's happening by this point. Although it came out after, if you liked, say, No Game No Life, but without as much as the very much appreciated Emoto fan service, you'll probably enjoy this as the concept of the worlds are similar. Is it wrong to try to pick up girls in a dungeon? Yes, another Ellen adapted fantasy series that is technically not an isekai, but it might as well be. Set in an RPG-like world where gods live among humans in the city of Orario, the residents join groups called Familia that are run by one of the many gods living there. The Familia's roles range from blacksmiths to adventurers that explore the dungeon in the city's center. We follow the young rookie adventurer, Bel Cranel, who's part of the humble Hestia Familia. Well, humble in some ways anyways. One day in the dungeon, he's saved by the quiet and powerful swordswoman Ainz, and quickly falls in love with her. He resolves to grow stronger while he faces many challenges along the way, all while making new friends and comrades, as well as becoming an oblivious harem protagonist. So just as any other series on this list, the anime is far from perfect, but this isn't a review. Overall, I think the series is enjoyable. The highlight of this series for me, apart from Hestia's ridiculously large breasts, are definitely the world and its characters. So many characters are present in this world with varying personalities. Obviously some more fleshed out than others, but it makes the world feel alive. Even off-screen, you know something's going on, and at one point or another, it ends up connecting with the main narrative. There's also a lot of lore to the world that's slowly explored, like the history of the gods and their relationships with one another that sometimes stems from before they even arrive to the lower world. Or even Bill himself and his backstory. There's 3 seasons right now, as well as a movie and a spin-off focused on Ainz and the Loki familia that she's a part of. So plenty to watch if you haven't already seen it. My youth romantic comedy is wrong, as I expected. Shifting from fantasy, we now turn our attention to romantic comedy. In this appropriately titled series, we follow the pessimistic loner, high school student Hikigaya Hachiman, who's forced by his teacher to join the service club. There he meets the icy beauty Yukino Yukinoshita, and they're quickly joined by the cheery and outgoing Yui Yugihama. Together, the 3 offer help to others while dealing with their own inner conflicts. What you get is a series that strikes a good balance between funny and serious moments. Hachiman's views of people and their relationships are pessimistic and funny, but also blunt and realistic, even if not always necessarily correct. But I think the series portrays fairly well the reality of how these school relationships can be at times. The interactions and dialogue the characters have with each other feels natural, mostly the banter between Hachiman and Yukino. And even some of the side characters feel fleshed out, to an extent. But the character development for the 3 main characters is probably the highlight for me. Throughout the 3 seasons, as the 3 service club members face not only help requests from others, but also their growing relationship with one another, their personal struggles, history, and inner feelings, the progress they make feels believable. Sometimes that might mean taking 2 steps forward and 1 step back, but that's how life really is sometimes. Rascal does not dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. Yes, I'm a lonely boy, so my number 1 pick is a rom-com. You follow second-year high school student Sakuta, who one day finds the actress and senpai from his school, Mai, wandering in a library while wearing a bunny girl suit. And no one else seems to notice her except him. He calls strange phenomenon like this a Dosen syndrome, and having some history with it, he decides to help Mai and try to solve the mystery with her. While growing closer to Mai, he also meets other girls along the way who suffer from various Dosen syndrome phenomenon. Similar to Oregairu, you have a character-driven story, with some romance and witty dialogue and banter. But it focuses more on the supernatural phenomenon that's happening to some of the characters that Sakuta meets. So it's kinda like the Monogatari series, but without the god-tier toothbrush scene. But don't worry, there's still plenty of quality content. It's a great series that balances its serious moments with a little bit of slice of life. It has great characters, intriguing mysteries, and satisfying romance. Also, watch the movie. It continues where the anime left off, and it's great. There are tons of more series I didn't mention because, I don't know, I forgot them. Or they didn't meet my strict research paper-like criteria of the title needing to be more than 7 words long to count. So let me know which isekai, long-titled anime series are your favorite.